Welcome to the High Queen podcast.
Prepare to embark on a journey through books you'll fall in love with, as well as the leading ladies who inspire our own stories.
Our friendship blossomed from pageantry to page turners, sparking a desire to show other women that they too can be their own main character.
I'm Miranda.
And I'm Autumn.
And together we'll lead you through books of all genres, from epic fantasy series, romance, all levels of spice, even to autobiographies of real-life heroines.
Now, we're some passionate bitches, so remember this podcast is rated R and prepare your ears. It's time to celebrate the heroines who redefine what it means to be brave and bold.
So grab your books, beverage, and bestie and crack open your book to page 189 and let's check in with each other. Episode 2. Okay,
Yay!
First things first. What's your beverage?
Today I have, I'm double fisting. I've got Taylor Swift in my coffee and water.
Yes.
I'm apparently I'm an Awala girly now.
I was just going to ask you, isn't that an Alawala or however you say that?
Alawala. Yeah, an Awala. Yeah. So listen, I was a Stanley Stan. Okay. Why did we leave her? If we're being honest, it is because I could no longer unscrew the top of my Stanley without my husband's help. And that sounds very anti-heroin, but yeah. It's truly, I couldn't physically undo it. And part of it is the nails. As my husband would say, I'm a part of the leisure class now. Because I used to have to like internally grip the thing to get it off. And now I can't do that. So I bought a new water bottle and look at this. Like Feyre.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. I can untwist it all by myself.
She is an independent woman. She don't need no man. I mean, she loves her man, but she don't need no man.
So embarrassing. What are you drinking?
I am drinking apple cider, and my cup says, "Let me adjust my crown and get my day started," which felt like the perfect cup to use for.
I love it. I love it.
The High Queen podcasting in the morning.
Yes, yes. So my updates, I have been suffering from a gnarly cough for like 3 days. Actually, we're going to hope I make it through this podcast. I'm pretty sure I will, but we've got cough drops on the ready. Okay. And I like to jokingly say I've been like, chain smoking. I've been chain cough dropping. Just one after another. It's pretty wild. And I did get new nails. For those of you who are listening, they're Thanksgiving themed. Okay. We've got a turkey and a pumpkin pie and a sweater nail. Very, very proud of this set. And I finally have books on my bookshelf.
I was going to say there's a door behind you and
none of you can see it because Miranda was smart and designed her home office to face that way. I'm looking at my bookshelves in front of me. You get to look at this. So here's my update. We've taken the doors off of my closet for me to paint, and my daughter had a good old time with painting on this wall that will one day be wallpapered. So that's my update. And also, I'm a Dancing with the Stars girly. This is going to be controversial, but I like Whitney. She got voted off. I'm pissed about it. Okay, whatever. Now I'm rooting for Alex and Robert. It is what it is. Also, for those of you who are Quicksilver fans, Brimstone came out. I have not started it. I'm not starting it yet because if I'm being honest with you, I read Quicksilver a year ago. I don't remember anything.
Your Roomba just came in the corner about to scare the shit out of me.
I'm so sorry. I'm gonna have to close that door. Yeah, I gotta go back and like reread Quicksilver in order to be ready for this book.
And I don't read it at all.
I know. So we can add that to our list, our ever-growing TBR. Miranda, what's good with you? I'm gonna close my door.
I also got my nails done, but I don't do my own because I am not nearly as skilled as Autumn is in every facet of her life, and I love that for her. So mine are just brown for Thanksgiving, like Hershey's chocolate hot cocoa.
Oh, they're beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. So I don't watch Dancing with the Stars because it airs literally in the middle of my 4 hours of master's classes.
Oh.
So I just like watch it on TikTok and on my phone afterwards and get the recaps and stuff. So I understand the controversy. I understand like all of the things that have been happening with Whitney. Did you watch Mormon Secret Lives of Mormon Wives like before?
No, but since you brought it up, I don't think we should fault a woman for being ambitious and
Oh,
saying out
hell
loud what
no.
her ambitions are.
We will snap for that. I don't even bring up Secret Lives of Mormon Wives because I know there was like some Whitney hate there, but this is kind of a fun show. And if you love Whitney and you want to keep up with her, I'm sure that this next season will be all sorts of crazy. I only watched the first one, but it was fun.
Crazy. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of TV shows, we talked about this not on the podcast, but I'm watching Schitt's Creek for the first time. So we're about halfway through season 5, so almost to the end of it. And I don't know what I'm gonna do in my life when I don't have David and Alexis in my life anymore.
It's so good. It's so
It is.
good. I just finished rewatching all 6 seasons for the second time,
Mm,
and I cried at the end because I was like, oh, this show is like a beautiful expression of what it means to be human.
yeah.
It's so good. So you enjoy, savor it.
I will soak it in. I really will.
Yeah.
Oh, y'all, I went viral on TikTok. How
Yes,
fun.
she did.
I went to, so, okay, listen to this insanity. And Autumn, I don't even know if you know this. Granted, we're in different parts of the country, but last, what was it, Thursday, we were supposed to have pentatonics come to Rapid City. They did, but at about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, the entire western half of South Dakota went off of power. Like the power went out, the grid went down. Like, yeah, super crazy, weird, no power. I'm like in our boutique. So I work at a boutique part time. And I had just turned up the air conditioning because I was in like a long sleeve pretty dress because it was supposed to be cooler out and it wasn't. The sun came out, whatever. So I turned the air conditioning down a little bit. It was maybe like 5 minutes later, the power goes off in our building. And I was like, did I do that? So we pop
It's
outside.
you.
My boss is like, I'm just going to go look next door because we're all connected. Like, maybe I'll see if next door has it or not or whatever. And they didn't. And then she comes back in and she goes, well, they don't either. Maybe it's just like our block or our buildings. And I look out and I'm like, no, no, the stoplights are out. Like everything is off. And so we were like, this is really weird. Yeah, whatever. Power's off, comes back on for like 30 minutes at like, I don't know, 3 in the afternoon, then goes back off again, and only chunks of like Rapid City had power as they were getting it back up and going. And the Pentatonics
What?
concert is supposed to start at 7, then they push it back. It started at 9 o'clock. I'm an old lady. This thing ended at midnight. I was exhausted, but it was so good. I took a couple of videos because they did Jingle Bells as a sea shanty, and
So
they
funny.
did Dance of the Sugar Plum Fairy, but make it like Broadway, and they were phenomenal. It was so fantastic. And I mean, sure, going viral is fun, but like, I'm glad other people are getting to experience what I got to
Mm.
experience.
Yeah. Okay. So it's giving apocalypse. And then
Yeah.
I'm like, did pentatonics make the power go out?
If anybody could with their incredible voices, I'm like, they're an a cappella group. They can just sing for us in this massive, stadium with no power,
Mm.
right?
Do you want to know a fun
Yeah.
fact about pentatonics? I saw them in college and got to meet all of them and have a picture with them. The original group
Yes.
with Kevin.
My mom's best friend did the same thing when she was in college. I'm like, that's so cool. So
It
cool.
was really cool. Yes, it was fun. Well, exciting. Should we jump in?
I was going to say from one excitement to the next, right?
I
initial
know.
impressions of this chunk. Oh my God, it got crazy.
This chunk was so fun. Okay, so going into these chapters, I was very ready for romantic plot development. I felt like we were
Mm-hmm.
getting set up for that, like the tension and the longing and the frustration.
Oh yeah.
And man, did we get it. Ooh!
Mm-hmm.
I was, however, not prepared initially when I read this for the dramatic turn in tone that this
Mm.
series of chapters would take. But I really do feel like this book needs it. And I'm very ready for this new era of Feyre.
Oh yeah, amen to that. I I wrote down I have so many feelings. And I want to reiterate what you just said, Autumn, that like SJM really upped the ante in this chunk. Like, and she had to, right? Because if it had just continued to be this sort of like la di da painting, laying in the sun, like we can leave that to Disney and Beauty and the Beast and all of the things. Like, give us what we want. Like, let's turn it up a little bit. She definitely gave us the romance factor. And I wrote down the word mystery, which I don't think is the right word, but like she really turned up the excitement, maybe is
No,
more
I
so
like
the
the
right
word
word.
mystery.
I mean,
There's a little mystery. We don't really
we're
know what's
still
going
left
on.
with questions, right? Yeah. And clearly it's like a whole series. So we're not going to get all of the answers now.
Yeah.
But it was just wild to me, like looking at the book and going, okay, so the first episode, we read half of this book. Now we've read just like the next quarter of it, just in a tiny little
I
section.
know.
And so much was jam packed into it, which like I'm
Yeah.
very, very thankful for. Um, I also wanted to say though, that with this chunk, it really makes me realize as much as we all want like our favorite books to become TV shows and movies, like
Mm.
how are you going to give this to me? How are you going to recreate it? Like unless this has the budget of Game of Thrones and then some, like I don't want it. I'm thinking of like the Will o' the Wisps. Like how do you
Mm.
recreate that? How do you recreate seeing the fairies for the first time, seeing Lucian's, incredible fire red hair and the glow that comes off of them? Do I want to see it? Yes. And, we touched on it last time and we can't get away from it. Like AI has created some of that for us.
Yeah.
But how do you, I mean, unless it's totally animated, which I wouldn't hate, I don't know how you would give us this. And that was just something that like kept coming back into my brain as we got more and
Yeah.
more description.
No, this is like a huge thing within the fandom of people being like, it has to be animated. I want a
Mm.
TV series. No,
But
make
like,
it
give me a
movies.
real
Put
person
it on
too.
HBO. And to be fair, like these it was about to become a TV series. And then the
Mm-hmm.
rights where, what, the timeline was up. Apparently SJM is happy with that. I don't really know. It's not like I called her up. But point
Next time,
being,
we'll call her for the next
yeah,
episode.
yeah. But point being, I agree with you. I do think it can be done. I mean, if I think about magical series of the past, right? Like if Harry Potter can do it
Mm-hmm. You
in
just got
that
to put the money
era,
behind it. Give
you
us the
can, but it,
money.
it has to have the money. And that's why I'm
Mm-hmm.
so excited to see this fandom grow, is because I think the more people who are excited about something, the more people are invested, the more likely people who have the money to create something this amazing would be willing to back it. So we'll
Yeah,
see
yeah, yeah.
one day. But until then, the movie in my brain's real good.
Amen to that. Okay. I know we're going to get into like a recap, but I just want to say I'm so happy that we got to see more of Feyre, like more about just who she is behind those walls that we touched on so much last time. But I also feel so bad because we see her open up. We see, some of the good that she sees in her family. And then this poor girl gets the weight of the world slammed back on her shoulders with needing to break a goddamn curse and save not only all of humankind, but fae kind and literally everything and everyone. And I'm like, damn, girl, she can't even read. And she's supposed to like break this, world altering curse. And I felt so bad for her in that moment. Well, yes, I didn't want it to stay painting and la di da di da. But I'm like, God, she just got to a point where she was like allowing herself to feel and love and see color. And I know we'll
No.
still get that, but I'm like, okay, now give us the craziness with this curse.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of crazy, I'm about to take you on a journey with
Yes.
this chapter summary. So, or multiple chapter summary. So strap in. Here we go. So chapter 20 left us meeting a new character, a hottie with no name. This mystery man is described as lethal, has a lazy smile, deadly eyes, and a voice with a lover's purr and short black hair. But also apparently super chivalrous, saving her, and a little bit snarky. What a character drop. This is also our first big intro into characters who currently reside outside the Spring Court. Pretty important. While this interaction is brief, it's also Feyre's small opening into the world beyond her manor. We learn that Fire Night is the official start of spring and a celebration where magic depends on what is regenerated as each High Lord performs the great rite. Okay, so yes, basically it was a giant orgy. I was correct.
Yeah.
And it makes magic. Okay, sweet.
You got to do what you got to do, right?
Absolutely. If the rules call for it. Okay, now Lucian catches Feyre where she's not supposed to be and runs her back to the manor Edward Cullen style, where she proceeds to once again not stay in her room and be somewhere she's not supposed to be in the search for cookies. But I mean, like, fair,
right? What else are you doing at 2 a.m? If you're up, you want cookies, right?
Heck yeah.
Or some kind of cookies, something. She's getting something.
Well, who does she run into but our dear, terribly handsome, rockin' bod, full-lipped Tam Tam? She finds him painted in black whorls that have been smudged where he's been touched during the Great Rite and realizes that some feral part of him wanted her. Cut to being pinned against a wall, wrist grabbed, and his voice running down her neck. And then, bam, Edward is back. And he bites her neck? What? Oh my gosh, this interaction leaves everyone, readers included, feeling hot and bothered, but ends with a good slap across the face, rightfully so. Cut to the next morning when Tamlin and Lucian are hungover as fuck, and Feyre chooses then to have her Princess Belle yellow dress moment and be intentionally loud and chipper.
We love her for that.
Yes, we are introduced to new magic galore in these chapters between pockets in the world, glamour magic, mind reading, and control. We are given intense character depth for Tamlin and Feyre, sharing their vulnerabilities, letting their literal guards down, and revealing new realities to each other. We also get more world building within the introduction of more creatures and types of fae. There is a darker tone introduced in these chapters too, as the blight grows and we see severed heads and bleeding heads, and talks of murdered children being paired with the lighter notes of the story, like the summer solstice and celebrating Tamlin's fiddle, winky face. We finally discover the name of the nameless hottie, and we learn that the she is named Amarantha. And finally, our world is being built. We go back to the human world, or as Feyre describes it, hell. Womp womp. But wait, there is an open door sex scene in this book. Oh my gosh. And okay, that definitely makes it not like Twilight anymore. We can stop with the Edward references, I suppose.
For now.
We say goodbye to Prithian, and I'm sure we all collectively yelled at our book saying, "Say it, Feyre, say I love you." But alas, she still had one more wall up all that time. And we say hello to Feyre's family again, but her crib has had some major upgrades, while Nesta Studidus has stayed consistent. And while in the human world, we learn that Elaine can, in fact, get her hands dirty. And Nesta is apparently immune from the magic of the glamour. Daddy Archeron is thriving, and we even get a Bridgerton-style ball. All is well, until we learn that Claire Better was not only a convenient fake name for Feyre, but also a victim of a house fire and is missing. Feyre straps up the courage and goes back to Prithian on her own, knowing that something is in fact wrong. After 2 days of playing mime with an invisible wall, she returns to the Spring Court, where she is left in shambles and finds Alice. Insert our information station. Alice gives us the rundown on all things blight and
Of course
curse.
she does.
Yes, here's
Love
what we
her for
learned. Okay. The blight equals the she. The she equals Amarantha, and Amarantha equals the threat to humans. The curse. Okay. It's 7 years to break the curse. He has to find a human girl to marry him with ice in her heart, who is also willing to kill a fairy, and had to kill one of his own men only for hate. The mask is bound to their face so that human vanity can't be a factor. The curse kept them all from telling the truth of what happened, and the spring court could stay in their court until the curse's time was broken or was up. And there's still one more part of the curse that can't be revealed that we don't know as a reader. Alice leads Feyre reluctantly to the cave that leads under the mountain, and badass Feyre is here, but not for long because she's caught within literal minutes. And hello, hiss the adder, and scene.
And it's such a cliffhanger. I mean, okay, clearly we are going to love those here at the High Queen Pod, but like,
I know. I will say, like, reading the book, you see the next page, it's right there. You're like, I'm gonna
keep looking.
Yes. And I am like dual reading, so I'm reading it in front of me to take notes, and then I'm also graphic audioing, and there ain't no break. Okay, in that graphic audio, I had to be like, pause. I can't keep going. Stop.
So to anybody who's reading this for the first time, maybe graphic audio is not how you should do it the very first time. I haven't done it yet. I need to. I want to. My mom did it. She loved it. I need it in my life, but I also felt like I needed to read it on the page again one more time.
I mean, the first time I went through this, I read it, no audio, nothing. And I really enjoyed that. I love reading books in that way. But as a mom and a business owner, I have to take what I can get. Okay. So it's I'm either dual reading or just audiobooking, or I'm reading tiny chapters in bed at night. It really depends, but you'll catch me doing a lot of audiobooks or tandem reads in that sense, because just my lifestyle. I'd rather consume it through my ear than not at all.
Oh, amen to that. Hey, we're doing a podcast. I'm a big podcast girly. I just need to figure out how the graphic audios line up with the book.
Yeah, pretty good. They leave out like little bits, like that you don't need the "and she said," because the actor's just going to say it. Yeah. So there are tiny things that are left out, but it's really not that far off. Okay, so I think we should jump into our characters. You want to talk about Feyre?
Yeah.
Let's do it. Okay, so Feyre goes through a lot of character development. We already mentioned that in these chapters, shedding layers like crazy and letting her guard down. And some of my favorite moments were each of the times that she either disassembled a snare in her room or just straight up chose not to lock her door, because I really felt like that was a great display to readers of her easing into her new reality and kind of losing control by choice. Right? So like, I am choosing to not lock my door versus I'm in here and I have no lock. So very different things. Yeah. Big moment. And that moment when she purposefully showed off her bruise, she tucks her hair, she puts it over her shoulder. She's like, I'm going to let it shine. Okay. From the bite that Tamlin gave her, man, that was a savage choice. I loved that. I like snarky Feyre. I like her a lot. She's fun. There was also that really beautiful moment where she took Tamlin to the painting room and finally let him see like all the darkest parts of her past. I really appreciated when Tamlin also referred to her quote unquote shortcomings. And she says in the book, she's like, oh, for once it didn't hit its mark, kind of showing her increased self-worth and the decrease in her own self-deprecating talk. Like she acknowledges like, yeah, I'm human. I don't have all the same abilities as you, but she doesn't see them as negative necessarily shortcomings. They just are what they are. Big moment in character development. Feyre is clearly happy to feel protected and cared for, something that she's really never had before in her entire life, even from childhood. And I really liked the description of her body filling out and her getting drunk AF while dancing the night away. Gosh, those are such fun moments to see that carefree part of her that we didn't even know existed up until now. And once again, snarky Feyre keeps showing up because Tamlin says, he wants to kiss her. And she replies, then do it. Hey, yes, queen. Okay. I will say I had one particularly favorite moment though of all of these. And it was the book title drop, right? She says in there, who wants someone around who is covered in thorns? And later in the chapter, Tamlin's reply is, I love you, thorns and all. Oh, it's so good. So good. I wanted that to last, but the end of these chapters, we go back to guilty Feyre as she gets all the world thrust back upon her. And then she goes, I had damned them all. Like, no, babe. You didn't know.
You didn't know, right?
I know. And Alice couldn't know at her.
Everybody is, which okay.
I'm like, okay, hang on now.
I get it, but also you guys. And okay, how long was Feyre in the spring court? 6 months?
Yeah, she goes in at winter and she comes out in summer.
Yeah. Okay. So 6
maybe
months.
Closer to 8.
Yeah, that's a long time, but also not a lot. It's a long time for her to see changes in herself. But if you're falling in love with someone that you thought you hated, a creature, because to her, initially that's what a fairy is. It's not a human being like she is. It's a creature. That's not a lot of time to go from, I hate this, I shouldn't be here, I need to get home, to I love you and I mean it, because that's part of it. She has to mean it. And it's that's, y'all are so pissed at her and you gave her nothing. I mean, okay, they gave her there's little things here and there, right? Little comments and nudges, but we're all a little dense, right? It's not going to be, I don't know, it's not going to be easy to figure all of that out. But
True.
Yeah, I said snarky as well, a little savage and strong-willed. Those were my 3 big words for Feyre in this chunk. And I also loved seeing her kind of stand up for herself in a different way in these chapters, kind of like you said, with that forwardness towards Tamlin, but also in her choice to return to Prythian to do something, to do anything to try to save people, to try to save not only this person she loves, but this entire world and her world. Also, can I just say that she's given into her feminine side so much more in these chapters with her painting and putting on her pretty dresses, which you all know, Autumn and I share pageantry as a common thread between us. So when they're describing some of these pretty dresses, there's just a part of me that's ooh, that's so fun.
Yes, put them in my closet.
Right. Amen to that. But yeah, she paints, she dresses up a little, she gives into her sexuality in a way that she never did before. She even is saying in this book that she sees herself as beautiful now. She doesn't just look in the mirror and see these sharp edges or, her mother's eyes that she seems to not like. She sees herself as beautiful. And I just think that's so cool. I also really love when we get that point of view from Feyre. And I know this isn't about her character, but it is because she's describing it for us when we take away the glamour and she can see the Fae for the first time. And then Alice has tree bark skin. I'm like, that's so cool. How that's overwhelming, wild. But incredible to be able to take it. I think I, kind of like she does at certain points in this chunk of chapters where she just has to sit in the moment. When she's seeing the will-o'-the-wisps and she's got her hand over her throat because she just needs a second to take it all in. And it's yeah, girl, we do too. And thank you for describing it for us. I also wanted to point out how much I enjoy this transition in these chunks of chapters, that it's now our court, my high lord, my home. She's officially gone from them to us. She's a full-blown Prythian gal. she even says that being with Tam Tam and in the midst of the summer solstice is literally the happiest moment of her life. And like, I shed a tear. I'm like, yes, girl, be happy. And of course, we have to, break our hearts a little bit. But I'm like, be happy, girl. Drink the wine, do the dancing, even though that section makes me giggle so hard every time I come upon it. I'm like, you know what? Yes, we've probably all been in this situation. You go, girl.
Yes. Well, on the flip side of that coin, we've got Tamlin, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he also shows a lot of growth in these chapters. He's very dominating, yet can be soft. And we see that like him pinning her against the wall while feeling like that coinciding with the deep, deep heaviness of the grief that he bears, right? The grief of losing his sentries, the grief of that killed Feyre in the entryway in the previous episode, and then the grief of not protecting Feyre fully, and the grief of not being able to break this curse after all of this time and all these attempts. And his comment in the painting room, I found interesting in particular, how he had said that no other lover had understood his pain and burdens and how he no longer feels alone with Feyre. That's so powerful. And I think a moment of them to feel like they're, kindred in that second.
Yeah,
like,
kindred
I get
spirits.
you. I see you. He clearly needs her as much as she needs him. And I loved seeing Tamlin play the fiddle. I thought it was a fun addition to his character. Devil Went Down to Georgia is exactly what's going through my head. Like, that's what's playing. Okay. But I see you maybe feel differently.
And you describing it as the devil went down to Georgia just makes the image in my head. I don't know why, but for some reason, Tamlin playing the fiddle gives me the ick, and I can't explain it.
Oh no!
Don't know why?
I loved it.
I don't know what it is. If it's like, okay,
is it the college guy with the guitar at the party in the corner?
Kind of. And also, do you remember that man? That man I sent you a video of? He's got the long blonde hair and the perfect sculpted body that like dances on the beach. Yeah. That's in my head in these moments, and it's not right. Like, that's not Tamlin, but it's just something about it gives me the ick, and I don't want it to, but it does. I'm sorry if anybody feels that way. Please let me know I'm not alone, and if I am alone, then it's fine. Just
no, I bet there's a lot of people I bet there's a lot of people that agree with you.
There's just something about it. Like, I want to love it, and I also love this idea of like a man playing music for you and singing for you. Like, who doesn't love that? I love my husband. That man doesn't even have rhythm, and that's okay. I love him. It's fine. I have the rhythm for the both of us, but I don't know. There's just something about it.
I don't know. Like, okay, hear me out. Let me set the scene for you. All right. It's dark. Okay. There's a bonfire in the background. Yes. There's the glow from the red and the orange smoke glistening off his blonde hair. He's tan and shirtless. I don't know. I'm just pretending he's shirtless. Okay.
I'm sure he is
dancing,
right?
And looking at him in this glow, and he's got his fiddle and he's looking like down and over it. And he's got like a little snart going on, a little eyebrow lift, if you will. And he's playing Devil Went Down to Georgia. This is an important factor. Okay. In it.
The song makes a difference. Yes. And that's what I'm crying. I am crying. When I hear you say that, I'm like, okay, that makes it better, because I'm just thinking like, I don't know.
Okay. I mean, it could be a little of that too. But to me, it was like sensual.
Yeah. No, I know it's supposed to be.
Actually, it might not supposed to be. That might just be my interpretation.
Okay. But you also have to think, Feyre's drunk on fairy wine. This is coming from Feyre's perspective. So, like, it might be a little but she's hearing Devil Went Down to Georgia. She's feeling a little something, something, when you're attracted to somebody and you're liking them and they're hot, you're kind of like, Tamlin's hot. I don't know. But sorry, everybody. I don't know why, but
we're on a fiddle tangent. We're ready to get back.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, now I have to figure out where. All I see is Tamlin giving me the ick. Okay. So I wrote down the sentence, "Don't ever disobey me again," he said with his voice a deep purr that ricocheted through me, awakening everything. I was like, okay, yeah, Feyre, describe that. A purr that awakens everything within you. I'm like, yeah. This is a safe space, everybody, right? Some people, I'm not naming names, but this is a safe space for consenting adults. Some people like to be told what to do, and that is attractive and, does a little something, something. And I was like, you know what, girl? Yeah. So I'm just going to leave that there.
No, we can't leave that there. We can't leave that there. I'm going to pick it back up. Okay. Because I completely agree with you. Okay. Sometimes we like to be told what to do. I am a strong woman. Okay.
That's what this podcast is all about.
And yet, I get it.
That
awakens something inside of you. You're like, yes. Okay. Got it. But I will say, I had the same feelings where I was like, ooh, that's hot. And then I had that second where I was like, don't tell me what the fuck to do.
Right? I know, which she does too, because then she like slaps him and whatever. And I'm like, yes, queen.
You're like, I like it. Wait, no, I don't.
The same. So relatable. So relatable. And speaking of relatable, we talked so much so far about like Feyre and Tamlin being two sides of the same coin, essentially. And I loved getting a little bit more information about how they were both sort of forced into positions that they didn't choose. Him a high lord, her a protector of her family. I think it's in chapter 24, Feyre says something to Tam Tam about like, you're not your family. You don't have to be like them. And I think that's also a moment for her to realize that she doesn't have to be something. And of course, we get some better character development of her family. She can see them with a different lens, but still in that moment, she doesn't have that yet. And so I think that's a big moment for her too, of like, you don't have to bear the weight of these other people. You get to be you. Loved that. Bringing it back really quick. Using his claws to rip off her clothes. I said, yeah, that's hot. I said, okay. Yep. Okay. And then
it is. I was a little concerned for her, like, abdominal. I'm like, are you gonna cut her?
You know that Tamlin, he's just like, it's like a feather. Just rips that. He knows what he's doing.
Oh, okay. We had two different visions going on. I was like,
sure,
are you gonna rip her skin?
No. He knows what he's doing. He knows how to use those claws. He does.
Okay, Miranda.
So with that being said, again, this doesn't necessarily relate to Tamlin. I've talked about him enough. But like, can we just appreciate Sarah J. Maas's writing again? Because this woman made sex sound like magic. And it was so beautifully written, not vulgar in the slightest. Like it wasn't something that you had to feel weird about reading. It was just magical, which like isn't that what it's supposed to be? I just really wanted to appreciate that I could read this and not be left feeling like, oh my god, I shouldn't be reading this.
So we don't have a dedicated section to this in our outline today, but I'm just gonna like tap into what you're saying really quick, and that is reading an open door intimate scene in a book. I don't know about you, Miranda, but this was not my first time because I was a 50 Shades girly. Okay. So I read some shit. All right. And I liked it. And then I watched the movies. Okay. And I continue to rewatch the movies.
Oh, and me both. I like the movies.
Yes. And this is what I wanted from Twilight. Okay. We get to that last book in Twilight and I was like, I just want to know what happened, but they closed the door on us. They're like, and then they made a baby.
Well, it was written by a Mormon. So
I know, I get it.
But yes.
Nonetheless, this was not necessarily my first time experiencing this, but I didn't know it was coming. Okay. So when you read 50 Shades, like you
know what you're getting.
Okay. You know what's coming. When you read a fantasy book that has been dedicated to romance for so much of the book, you're like the build up to it. And then when you get it, the payoff is so good. And yes, it is written so well. It's not cringy, in my opinion.
No.
I find it very tasteful, but also giving me the details I wanted. Okay.
Yes,
I want to
exactly.
know what parts of town he goes to. Okay. I want to know all the things.
How she feels like, oh yeah. Amen to
Yes.
that. Like give us what we want.
And there is this, depending on when you're listening to this, whatever, and current present day, the day of our dear Savior and Lord, November 20th. Okay. It is a thing on TikTok right now where there is a woman going around saying that anybody who reads romantasy and smut is just unintelligent and stupid.
No.
And I 100% disagree. I think I am severely emotionally intelligent because I have the ability to appreciate this, know the difference between reality and fantasy, and allow this to embrace a piece of me that enjoys intimacy. Yeah. And there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Yeah. Yes. What a beautiful part of life.
Amen.
And the ability to have human connection in that way. Right. So, whatever to the haters, but we enjoy good smut here.
Hell yeah, we do. And we're going to continue to read about it and talk about it. And it's okay to do. And this is a safe space for us to talk about it. And again, like I've said, it was like we're consenting adults and this is all great and fine. And the people who feel that way probably aren't listening anyway. So
that is
or you
fair.
can tune out now
or
and that's
didn't
okay
read the
too.
book or skipped this chapter.
Yes,
whatever
choices. But
yes. Okay, so our next character. Yes. Okay, Lucian. Here we go. I love that Feyre sees Lucian without the glamour and notes that he appeared like himself. That he didn't bother to try and be something he wasn't. Okay, this is exactly what I feel we get from him in every chapter, right? He just is him, and he has been since the beginning of the book. I love his snarky, like, if I offer you a moon on the string, will you give me a kiss too?
So good.
Like him just like playing into this romance, but being like the like fun friend on the side. It's so funny. And also him being the DD, if you will, sober friend for Feyre, looking out for her. Really, I feel like Lucian is kind of her only friend in this world, other than Alice, who we've said before is maybe like more of a motherly, sisterly figure that she didn't have. So Lucian is pretty important in that context. And before Feyre is sent back to the human world, Lucian cuts deep on her, saying like, I thought you were smarter. And then yells at Tamlin before spatting on the ground at him. Like that was a part of his character that we hadn't really seen and left me feeling a little bit jarred reading these chapters. I was like, whoa. That's a big 180. Like even when he didn't like her at the beginning, he wasn't like angry at her in this way, and he definitely wasn't angry at Tamlin in this way. I feel like this is like layer shed.
I said the same thing, like this angry side of Lucian. Like you said, it was very jarring, and it makes me very curious to see then, we know Feyre has gone under the mountain. We know that that's where they've been taken, where they are, and we assume that Lucian is alive and not dead. So then like what's his reaction going to be to her being in that space when she didn't listen, when she didn't do what they expected her to do, even though she had no idea what she was supposed to do? Like that just made me really curious to see what comes next from his character. I think I can understand some of his anger and frustration, but I agree that it went from like, okay, sure, he's frustrated to he's just downright pissed. And he's not afraid to show it. And same thing. Like I literally wrote down the quote of him saying, I thought you were smarter than this, as she was leaving. And it's like, well, what does that mean, Lucian? Like we figure it out a little bit later. Thank you, Alice, for filling us in. But what does that mean? Why are you so fucking pissed at us?
I know.
As I'm leaving and I don't get to, I feel like I'm saying Feyre, isn't getting to make this choice. I'm being told to leave, but everybody's like looking at me and saying these things. And I tried to listen to the Suriel and I don't understand what's happening. And now this person I thought was my friend is just totally being a dick. And we get why. But yeah, it was
Yeah.
definitely jarring. I will agree with that wholeheartedly.
Well, both him and Alice are, angry with her. But, Alice, she tries to be this supportive rock star that she is throughout most of these chapters. And we get some really important details about her backstory. You mentioned earlier that tree bark skin, her summer court origins, and how she came to the spring court after her sister and brother-in-law were murdered, and her hiding her nephews. We learned so much from her. I love that she is the information station for us as readers. It just feels right that she'd be the one to give Feyre the down low. And I really enjoyed her kind of like laying all of that out for us.
Yeah. If it wasn't going to be Alice, then it needed to be Lucien. Like that's yes. Getting it from her. And that chapter is long because there's so much like history and lore that we have to get. And I love how quote driven it is from Alice. Like, yeah, I really appreciate that chapter. I don't know if we're ever gonna see her again, and that actually makes me a little sad. But I am so glad that we got to understand a little bit more about her and got to see, what these fairies are truly like. And ultimately, I just hope that her and her nephews get through this. Like that's my only hope for Alice, that if we never see her again, there's that like hopeful part of me that just wants them to be okay.
I never thought about not seeing her again. That is really sad.
Yeah. And I genuinely don't know, guys. Like, gave the disclosure last episode, but I don't know if we ever get to see her again. And I feel like for Feyre, now this is like all coming to my brain, like how devastating to lose your mother figure again in a different way, but to potentially never see this person who was so forthcoming with you and, loving in a way that she never got from her actual mother. I feel like that would be devastating.
Yeah. No, I agree. And I mean, Feyre's mom definitely messed her up, but she also messed up her sisters. So let's talk about
mommy issues.
Our Nesta. Okay. So we're back in the human world. And right away, Feyre notes that Nesta keeps her distance when she returns, and that she had forgotten how cunning her eyes were, how cold. I love the way Feyre describes Nesta. And that she, being Nesta, has been made differently from something harder and stronger than bone and blood, that she was different from the humans around us as I had become.
Oh. I wrote that down too.
I was like, this feels important.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like these descriptions are far too specific and worded like poetry.
And then this is in mine, and I'm going to let you keep going. But I wrote that down. I also then wrote down that she calls her beautiful, imperious, still as one of the high fae. And that's both of those descriptions. And then like last episode, we talk about her being like a queen without a throne. I'm like, okay, Nesta was and is a bitch, but like we're getting something. And I agree. Pause. We got to come back.
Here's the thing, readers. I have read through the most recent releases. Okay, 1 through 5. Miranda has not.
No, I haven't. So I've stopped.
I'm not going to say anything, but I want you to make a prediction based on what you know right now, having read this much about Nesta. I want you to make a prediction about where you think her final story arc is. Not where we're at in between book 2, 3, 4, 5. I want you to predict, if SJM writes 8 books in this series, what do you think her ending is? What do you think her pinnacle? Because I have a theory, but I've read more, and so I don't want to reveal it till we get through those.
Oh, okay. We've heard a lot about her like resembling a high fae or like a high lady, not even necessarily like within the fairy realm, like very regal and scary, and she wants to travel the world. And then we just learn about this like king of Highburn and clearly something's going to happen there because it's connected to Amarantha, and we'll get to all these people. But Queen Nesta in some way, shape, or form in leading in some. I mean, this. I have so much more respect for Nesta in these chapters, which,
Mm,
like Feyre sees her differently, and now we're going to see her differently.
right.
She's going to ascend to power in some way, shape, or form. I don't know what that looks like, but this bitch is going to lead in some way. That's
Yeah.
how I feel. I don't know where it comes from. The describing her like a high fae is really interesting to me. So I know there's got to be something with that, but I'm like, in some way, shape, or form, within the fae world, within the human world, within them both, I believe Nesta is going to be some sort of bridge or leader or connection.
Hmm.
I don't know anything else, but that's as far as my
Yeah.
brain can take it.
Okay. So I'm going to also make a prediction. Knowing that I've read other books, I want you as readers to know that I'm not revealing anything. This is a prediction that is literally never mentioned again so far. So the only way we know if it's true or not is in the books that have yet to be released.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I think that there is a secret we don't know about Feyre and Nesta and Elaine's mom.
I think that's true too.
Because we don't get a ton from her, but we get
Mm-hmm.
so much about her children.
Mm-hmm.
And I think there's something that correlates with their mother and Nesta that we don't know
Mm-hmm.
that is going to reveal something wild about Nesta.
Mm-hmm. Well, she's older. She knew her mom longer. She know. Yes. Yes. Yes.
I don't know what it is, but I think she plays a part.
Yeah. We have
So
to
we
get more
shall
about Mama
see.
Archeron. Like
We
there's
shall see.
something. There's
Okay,
yes.
I wanted this clocked in our podcast so that when other books come out in the future, we can be like, I got it right, or I didn't get it right, but
We
I
were so
tried.
far off.
Okay, so also the fact that Nesta went to see Feyre, like
Mm-hmm.
what not just went to see her, like went to find her.
Yeah.
And the fact that the glamour magic didn't work on her is so intriguing to me. How and just imagine for a second, like your sister has been essentially kidnapped in the most
Mm-hmm.
traumatic way possible. And no one around you knows this. How lonely would it feel to know the truth about what happened to her and then have no one to take solace with you in that? Feyre describes her anger as like a lifeline and that she could love more deeply and more loyally than Feyre ever realized. And you're right, you gain respect for her in these chapters. And I really feel like Nesta's constantly waiting for someone to fight for her,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that she is still so burdened by that feeling of resentment and loss of her mother. And the thought that her protector or her dad didn't do everything he could for their family.
Mm-hmm.
But Feyre did. And in some ways, Feyre was their protector. And Nesta gives that sense of loyalty and love to her by going to look for her.
And I love that we get that. Like, of course, the glamour didn't work on Nesta. Like that, yeah, that seems fitting. But like to learn this other piece of her, yes, she's cold. She is cold. We continue to see that. But she's cold because she cares in a different way. If Feyre's got walls, Nesta's got a moat and all the things.
Yeah.
Like yeah.
Well, Feyre
But she
describes her moat, so to speak, of being made of like iron, ashwood, and steel. Maybe I can't remember
yeah.
the third thing, but like,
Yeah.
yes, all the strongest materials we know in this world.
But to see a crack within that of how she does care, of how she literally went to try to she got to the wall almost. Like she hired
Mm-hmm.
somebody to take her to I can appreciate as an older sister that feeling of like doing anything and everything you could for your younger sibling.
Mm.
If something had happened to my brothers, I don't know how I would ever stop. And so her being kind of like introspective and sullen, even when Feyre comes back and really looking back on all that's happened, I feel a little bit more kindred spirits with Nesta that I can appreciate. And I also wanted to say that I loved right there at the end when Feyre's headed back to Prithian. Nesta looks at her and says, "We don't need you here, Feyre. Don't
Mm.
look back." And it's she gave her the permission that she needed. In the first time that she left home, she's got this weight of her mother's promise. This time, she's got someone who reminds her in the little way that she knew her mother, Nesta, who is
Mm-hmm.
saying, "Go. Go and do this. You took care of us. Let me now do that.
Yeah.
If you can come back someday, great, but go and don't look back." And I was like, you know what, Nesta? Hell yeah. You give her the permission that she needs because Feyre
Mm-hmm.
would have carried that weight if you hadn't.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I
Mm-hmm.
love that. And looking at our third sister, Elaine. So we do get a little bit more character development with Elaine, not as
Mm-hmm.
much, but a little bit more. Um I think it's interesting how we describe her as having all of these amenities around her that she longed for, and now she is in turn longing for that simplicity of their cottage life.
Mm-hmm.
And she's quite literally getting her hands dirty doing the gardening and taking care of the flowers that she loves and wearing a simple dress despite her ability to wear something fancier that she had longed for so long.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone, it's described that everyone is drawn to her and that she is the one who remained generous and kind in spite of everything. I think that does speak a lot to her character, right? Their experience can harden you, and it did harden Feyre.
Mm-hmm.
And when Feyre goes back to the cottage, she looks at it and she realizes that Elaine was the stronger one of the two of them, not because of like physical strength or hunting, but because Elaine, looked at that cottage with hope, and Feyre looked at it with hatred. And
Mm-hmm.
she believes that because of that, Elaine is stronger than her, which, mental strength, if you will,
Which is
emotional
big.
strength. Yeah, that can carry you when your muscles no longer do.
Mm-hmm.
So
Which feels
I
like
think
something
that,
Feyre may need in this
yeah,
last
yeah,
chunk.
yeah. Yeah. So I really enjoyed that part of Elaine's character.
I also really highlighted that, like how Elaine still views the cottage with hope and even a little bit of longing. And I also sat here and wondered, is it because she's almost missing that connection that she had there with
Mm.
her sisters? Because Elaine was so hopeful and just seeing, kind of the world through rose colored glasses. We have this quote from her that says, "It made me wish for those years again, even the hunger and cold. This house feels so big sometimes, and father is always busy, and Nesta, dot, dot, dot." And we get a little bit of information about how Nesta withdrew. And it makes me sad for Elaine too, that she's regained some of the things that she wanted for so long, but that she's missing out then on that like human connection. She has it in a
Mm-hmm.
different way, but maybe not in what she really wants. I also was sad for her that her peaceful world of gardening and parties is broken, but I think that's going to mean a lot of character development for her if we continue to see her in these books of the glamour being broken and her eyes really being open to the world around her and kind of the duality of what is happening between the human world, the Fey world, the rich, the poor. Like, I just think that's going to lend so much to who she is as a person if we get to see her again.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Speaking of that glamour on Daddy
Mm,
Archeron, I feel like the glamour is making him oblivious, right?
yeah.
We gotta, he's sitting there counting the money, but
Mm.
really he doesn't know any better. Um, and through all of this, his spirit is still vibrant and hopeful, similar to how it was even in times of despair. I was sad though that Feyre didn't say goodbye to him.
Yeah, especially when she thought that like he had come back for her or come for her, in that moment with the puka in, the spring court. I hope that if we do see him again and that Feyre and her father, Daddy Archeron, whatever the heck his name is, if they ever come together again, I hope there's this moment of like reconciliation.
Mm.
Um, but I also want to say that it really kind of rubbed me the wrong way that he went straight to counting Feyre's wealth. And I understand that that's what he knows and that's what he can do. And I'm sure for him that he's just glad to see that his daughters will be cared for in this way. But I also wanted him to be, I don't know. I just wanted more from him in that moment. And we just didn't get it. And I'm so glad we got it from her sisters. But I was like, dude, you're her dad. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. And maybe, like I said, with the glamour being broken, if they meet again, maybe we'll have some of that. But in these moments, I was like, I'm not impressed by you. You can leave the
Mm.
book.
I'm like, okay, bye.
Bye. But I
Okay.
don't want to say goodbye to this next person.
No. Okay. Our nameless hottie. He's no longer nameless. We have our Sand as our new character. Okay. We don't know a ton about him, but here's what we do know. He has been called Amarantha's whore. He is not part of the, as he puts it, noble spring court and glad of it. In fact, he is the High Lord of the Night Court. He gives me a little bit of Draco Malfoy vibes, and I was in fact attracted to Draco Malfoy in Harry Potter.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Bad
Particularly
boy.
like the end movies with the black suit
Oh,
and the
so good.
I
The
was
really
like,
light blonde hair.
stop.
Mm-hmm,
Yep. Okay. So I don't know what that says about me, but
Us.
read into that as you will. We also learned that he has mind control magic and the ability to get Tamlin, who we as readers so far believe is the strongest, most powerful Fey male that we have met, to get him on his knees. Like, we have learned so much about this character, and I didn't write this down, but I'll, mention, we know he's the High Lord of the Night Court. We know the severed head had the sigil of the Night Court on it. So there's connections that can be made. I was just like, this chapter was so wild to me, meeting him in a different lens than we met him the night of Calumet.
Right. When he's this most handsome man that Feyre's ever seen. And now
And
he's like the
saving
most
her.
terrifying. Yeah. Right. Such a, like, two different people. Like, very. I wrote Rhysand, Rhys, High Lord, Whore. What a bunch of nicknames.
Yeah.
But can we just focus on this again for just a second? He brought Tamlin to his knees and then lower than that, because didn't he also have him put his fucking forehead on the floor? Like, who is this man to make right? We thought Tamlin was the most powerful High Lord to ever be, and then we meet Rhysand and we're like, whoa, okay. I love that some of our descriptions of him, though, are still this like terrifying beauty of like sensual grace and ease, and offsetting his pale skin with deep eyes that are violet, even in the firelight. And that's before these scary moments. But I really want to focus on this Tam Tam thing for just a second, because now I understand that Rhysand has mind control, but it doesn't seem like any way that he's using it. It seems like Tamlin is going to his knees and pleading for Feyre.
Oh, using it against Tamlin.
Yes.
Yeah, I didn't get that vibe either.
I didn't either. So it bugged me then, because Tamlin then doesn't do anything to protect Feyre. He like barely says anything. He drops to his knees. And of course, maybe we're learning that Rhysand has more power than Tamlin does. But something about that just kind of made me uncomfortable as to what is Tamlin actually willing to do to protect Feyre and the ones he loves. I don't know. It just something about it was weird to me.
I get that. I agree. I also think there's this idea like, if somebody's got a knife to the person you love, like this is a metaphorical knife, but if somebody's got a knife to someone's throat, you stay still because any sudden movement could be a quick death, right? Maybe he just literally doesn't know how far Rhys would go. And he's scared to make a wrong move because it could be a split second that she's gone. So it could be that, but yeah, I agree. Like not doing anything to like run to her side, be next to her in that moment, even though I know Lucian's next to her, but it's just different. I see where you're coming from.
And I do with you too. It's like, who is this Rhysand? Who is this Amarantha to like make him go limp, to make him do nothing? It's so very interesting. Also, we have to shout out really quick that apparently today, because like you said, it's of our Lord and Savior's November 20th, however the hell you said that. Today is Rhysand's birthday, November 20th, confirmed by Sarah J. Maas, that today is his birthday. And I had it in my calendar. So when we planned to record the episode today, I had said, like, oh my God, it's Rhysand's birthday. And we had to double check that, but it's been confirmed. And part of the reason is, I guess, that it kind of connects to Feyre a little bit more, but I don't want to go into that because I tried to not read very deeply. I didn't want to get any sort of spoilers. So it kind of connects to Feyre's birthday, which we haven't gotten. So we'll leave that out. But the other reason for it is that this date, November 20th, is the same as Sarah J. Maas's husband's birthday. So Rhysand and her husband share the same birthday. So
that feels important.
Yes. I don't know anything else, but it was in my calendar. Somehow I found this out and it's in my calendar. And so I think it was very fitting that we got to meet Rhysand in these chapters, really get to know a little bit more about this terrifying, beautiful person. And today happens to be his birthday. So happy birthday, Rhysand. You're probably like 7,002. Who knows like how old you are?
Five. I don't know. Pick a number.
526.
I'm thinking about the fact that they mentioned that Tamlin and Rhysand were friends. I don't know. We'll get into that in a second. Yeah. But so I assume somewhat similar age. But speaking of Rhysand's association with people, let's talk about Amarantha. So we get a lot of lore on Amarantha. I am not going to redrop it all here, but these were some standouts to me about her. So, one, that she's been in Prythian during the war. She left and came back and has now been there for, I guess, almost 100 years, right? She spent 50 there, and then now it's been almost another 50 that she's been ruling. Yeah. Okay, as what? High Queen.
What? High Queen. Whoa, where have we heard that before?
We did not name this podcast after Amarantha. I just want to like put that out there. Okay. I read that and I was like, oh, that's a fun connection.
Forgot that the first time I read it. Too. Like, I did not remember her being called the High Queen. And then I read it and I was like, oh shit.
Yeah. Okay. So that being said, very slick with her words and actions. Her deep hatred for humans and obsession with Tamlin is going to make these upcoming chapters very interesting.
Amen to that. Since we're sticking with the Harry Potter theme a little bit, when Alice whispers her name as if it will summon her, I'm like, okay, Lord Voldy, like Voldemort, anybody? That's what that gave me. Clearly she's someone to be afraid of, and we get that in her descriptions, kind of like we were talking about. But one that really stood out to me was when Alice says that Amarantha took Tamlin and summoned all of the other High Lords of her court to under the mountain to, quote, make them watch her break him. Oof. Like, damn. I clearly we're gonna get something on what that means, but to watch them make her break him. And we've learned he's the last sort of line of defense against her from what we know. That just like cracked my heart. I was like, oh, that'll be interesting to read. And then this bitch took Lucian's eye. I just had to point that out. She's the one who took Lucian's eye because
with her fingernail.
She
must have long fingernails.
Something. Or maybe she's got claws like Tamlin. I don't know, but I was like, she took his eye and then she's gonna break. I'm like, this bitch is scary. There's a lot going on.
She is. And, we really get into this different tone in the book with her where we go from thinking we're reading a beautiful love story to like, I think I'm reading something dramatically different and dark. And that transitions into our next character of Claire Better. Her name is brought up a lot in this portion of the book. So that's why I included her. And it's a dark, sad moment because, we know that she's Elaine's friend. We know that she's Feyre's fake ID. Okay. And now, sadly, all her family is dead and she's missing. It's not looking so hot for her. That's really all we know about her right now.
Yeah. I don't even want to know with like, clearly something's happened. and we learned a little bit about Rhysand's mind powers, Amarantha's hatred for humans, like this creepy Tor adder. I gotta listen to
Adder.
Graph. Thank
Adder.
you. Nobody judge me too hard. I haven't listened to
you.
anybody say these.
Got you.
But then this adder that we've like experienced a little bit, and then right there at the end, I'm like, what have they done to this poor girl? So that'll be very curious to see what comes of our human Claire. Yeah.
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
sure.
Now, speaking of the adder, I just,
Mhm.
wanted to have us include a little description of him because we do leave our cliffhanger with him.
We do.
So, what did you write down, Miranda, about him? He's
I wrote scary vampire-like creature, bony fingers, ew.
all right. We'll go with that. Use your imagination.
Uh-huh.
I imagine tall, leathery.
Yeah, like gangly almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So got some plot moments to fill in there, but so speaking of some stuff that maybe didn't quite click, like maybe we don't have those full plot moments. So for me, the glamour, okay, it's so cool. I'm just curious, is it just like a high fae thing that he can apply this glamour, or is it because he's a shifter so he can like shift realities or like what's there? I don't know. I'd like to know a little bit more about it.
Yeah.
Rhysand was friends with Tamlin, friends, but
Question
Tamlin didn't
mark?
fight in the war
Because he was a kid.
because he was a kid. But then Rhysand says, I taught him everything he knows about war and females. So like, I want more about that. Okay. And then sending her home and taking on the life debt, as Tamlin said, he was going to do that. Okay. So apparently there is a loophole.
Because it's not a part of the treaty. Then we learn it's not even it's because we learn about the curse. It's not even part of the treaty. I wrote that down too. And then of course we learn a little bit later. But I'm like, so what is the treaty? What is the treaty? What are even, does it matter? I don't know. Would love to know more about fairy wine. I'm very intrigued, especially as we get there at the end where Alice is like, don't drink it under the mountain. It's different. So it's like, okay, interesting. Also was super curious about Tamlin and Rhysand's connection, but also Tamlin's familial connection with Hybern. And then of course, Hybern itself, is intriguing, but I'm like, interesting that his family had such a deep connection to this person who hates the humans. And so I feel like there's some development or more history we're going to get there. I want to know more about this Great War because it's clearly still causing problems. Like I want a little bit more information on that. My history degree brain is buzzing. And then we've heard so much in this, not just this chunk, but like the book as a whole, cauldron. Like, so I want to know more about what that means about this cauldron that I feel like they refer to it almost as like a god. So like, what is that? When they're like, oh, the cauldron, oh my God, same
cauldron boil me.
Right. Which I'm obsessed with. And I should start saying in my everyday life. But I need to know more about what that means. Cause I'm like cauldron, witchy, that's so intriguing.
I agree. It's giving like higher power. For sure. So things we should probably pay a little closer attention to as we're moving forward. Okay, Amarantha and her own deadly powers, apparently. She keeps the High Lords locked up inside her, and we're unsure how much she can access. Let's think about that as we go to the next chapters. Okay, magic likes rules. This feels important. Like we should clock it. Okay, magic likes rules. She makes a really big point of saying that. I think it's Alice that says it. And then all dark and miserable roads lead under the mountain. That felt like something important to me. And then finally, Alice's rules. I want us to remember these. Okay, don't drink the fairy wine, different from solstice. Don't make deals unless your life depends on it. Don't trust a soul, not even Tamlin.
Which is interesting.
Your senses are your greatest enemies. They will be waiting to betray you. Keep your ears open. Listen to what you hear. 3 different mentions of ear. Hear, listen, and ears. So all things I want us to be paying attention to, right? In these chapters, I found myself reflecting back to a younger version of me. Right. So early 20s Autumn, who was looking for safety net and someone to depend on that wasn't just myself. And reading about Feyre's release allowed me to draw a lot of parallels to my own during that time of life. There's a lot of beauty and vulnerability, but seeing Feyre give us her we ride at dawn moment, right? Shows that vulnerability paired with strength is really where we should all strive to be in our own heroine journey.
Yeah, I agree. I think maybe this is a weird take, but Feyre has almost taught me to be myself. And in the way that like it's okay to be stubborn and self-sufficient, but it's also okay to sort of soak in the sun and get a little silly with the fairy wine and the dancing and painting. Like you're okay to be these multi-layered people because she has become such a multi-layered character, as opposed to that sort of like one-dimensional version that I feel like we were allowed to see. Not that that's who she was, but that we were allowed to see before her walls came down. And I can attest to have done the same thing at portions in my life. So yeah, her vulnerability and like that willingness to help those around her, I think are great qualities for us to hold on to. And just, thinking back to who I have been before this point in my life, as someone who has struggled with dating and, that like quote unquote finding of love, I just want to say that I related to her not saying I love you back out of fear. For her, it was fear of being a burden. As us normal humans, it's fear of like rejection or whatever it may be for everybody. For me, it was rejection. But maybe this is just proof that we should all be a little more willing to just say how we feel. And you never know, it could lead to breaking a curse.
Now, I know you want to keep going. I know you want to turn the page, but we've got to close the book on this one.
But hey, every epic needs a cliffhanger, right? We love to leave you on them with the ACOTAR. So let's savor the suspense.
Remember to like, share, subscribe, and write a review.
Unless it's bad and you can make it bad because I just said ACOTAR instead of adder.
Yeah, I heard that.
I'll fix it. I'll get better.
Before you remove your bookmark to prepare for next week, remember that whether you're conquering your own kingdom or just cozying up with a good book, you are the main character of your own epic tale.
All right, queens, for real now, put down that book, hold your crown high, and of course, we will catch you on the next page.